Howdy everyone, Poacher here with an Age of Magic video. In today's video we are going to do the hero spotlight for Sweetvoice, the caster of the Goblin faction. So let's get into it, look at her stats, look at her abilities and see what she's like in Arena. So going over Sweetvoice's stats, we've got hit points 1.7 million, speed 228, armor 16k, magic damage resistance 28k, basic magic damage 122k, basic critical hit chance 26%, magical critical damage 204k. Like usual, we'll go over the stats. You can pause these wherever you want and observe anything, note anything, do what you will. And there you go. Now we are going to jump into Arena, see what this lady can do, and is she good or not? We'll find out in a moment. So going into the Arena, we have Goblin Sweetvoice. Her Swishing Scimitar is her basic attack. Triggers the Caster class mark. Deals damage to one target, which increases by 20% per dead rat she has a 60% chance per dead rat she has to throw an enemy into confusion, which gives them a 50% chance to miss their turn, or if their turn isn't missed, reduces their outgoing damage by 16%. So a few things to go over with this. Confusion is the new debuff coming into the game with the Goblins. It is one of the primary parts of Sweetvoice's kit. There are some other abilities that work with Confusion as well. What it doesn't mention here about Confusion is it works like Idril's Sleep. If a target is confused and you attack them, then they will lose the Confusion. The only thing I wish was worked a little bit differently in Confusion was instead of them missing their turn, because how it works is when the enemy takes a turn, or when their initiative bar fills up, the Confusion will take effect straight away. So it will either skip that target and move on to the next target, or they will get to use their attack. I wish that it worked in the way that the enemy got to use an attack, so that ability would go on cooldown, and then Confusion took effect, whether the ability worked or if it didn't. If it didn't work, I wish they took a little bit of self-damage instead. Kind of like Pokemon, I'm literally ripping Pokemon off, but I feel like that would have been a much more tactical, is that a word? Tactical use of the Confusion debuff. It could have been used a lot more strategically. It would have been cool. So we'll have a look at the ability in action. We're going to use it against Danae. As you can see, Danae has the Confusion debuff on her, and we're going to go ahead and use it. Look at the animation. I love the animation of this ability. She literally sends out her little ferret to attack. I'm so glad they added the ferret in there. He's alive. He's doing well. He's healthy. He's doing some damage. As you can see, the debuff was removed from Danae. No more Confusion. Everyone else on the team still has Confusion. Or Kobold, Wormpriest, and Abaddon still have the Confusion debuff. So pretty interesting basic attack. A lot for a basic attack. Could work pretty well in your favor. So looking at her first special ability, we have Cry from the Heart. Increases the critical damage of allies on the next attack they perform by 50%. Has a 45% chance and an extra 30% chance per dead rat she has to throw all enemies into confusion and daze them, causing them to lose 100% of their initiative when they take damage. Her last part of the ability has a 70% chance per dead rat she has to stop the enemy dodging the ability, and debuffs casts cannot be blocked by Fortitude. So this ability just becomes stronger with dead rats. Obviously, that's the theme of the Goblins. She's more of a support unit than she is an actual caster. She's just helping her team. She's adding debuffs to the enemy. She's not doing a tremendous amount of damage herself. As you can see, she's adding critical damage as well. That can be pretty good. We haven't seen the rest of the Goblins, but for Sneaky Beaky, he could potentially do a lot of damage. Mixed with Confusion, he can do extra damage against targets with Confusion, and then add the extra critical damage buff. That could be a fair bit of damage. So we'll go ahead and look at the animation. There's a 5-turn cooldown, and the ferret gets off her. There you go, Confusion spread. She sends out a wall of green, what is it? Dust, mist, whatever, and the Confusion is applied. You can see the initiative debuff is applied to them as well. Chore and Skip because of his passive. So yeah, a pretty neat support ability with the extra critical damage as well. Give herself 2 rats, and that ability is going to do a lot of work. So yeah, I like it. It's pretty neat. Her second special is Unforgettable Saga. Cast a buff on allied goblins 4 times, which restores 2% of their maximum HP per each such buff cast on them at the start of their turn, while the other allies get half that amount. Has a 100% chance per dead rat she has to cast a debuff on all enemies 4 times, which deals damage equal to 2% of the enemy's maximum HP per debuff of that kind that is already cast on them. The damage ignores armor and magic resistance and resistance to magical damage. Has a 70% chance per dead rat. She has to stop the enemy dodging the ability. So again, having 2 dead rats plus is landing the ability. So that's all that is. It's a safeguard, same as the last ability. Again, a pure support ability. It's healing and damage at the same time. Essentially a dot and a hot for your allies and your enemies. So we'll go ahead and look at the ability. Okay, pretty cool. She plays the... what is that? What is it? Mandolin? I don't know. I'm just going to call her mandolin. I'm completely wrong. It's her instrument, whatever. Probably a made-up instrument. And yeah, it looks cool. Spotlight comes on her. It's a green oozy spotlight. I like that. It's the theme of the goblins. And as you can see, our allies have the 4 ticks of the hot. Other allies only have 2 ticks. Lucky has 1 because it's her turn. 1 tick's already passed. And the enemy has 4 ticks on them. So they will take that progressive damage over time. It's a debuff, so it can be cleansed. But it is a buff on you, and that is untouched. Not by Sacrif anyway. Damn you, Sacrif. So yeah, again, just insinuating that she is a support unit over a caster. And I really wish support units were a thing in this game. Moving on to her third special ability, we have Deadly Date, which triggers the caster class mark. Throws an enemy into confusion. Deals damage to a non-goblin enemy equal to 25% of the target's current HP, ignoring armor and resistance to magical damage. Has a 100% chance per dead rat she has to stop the enemy dodging the ability. The leader, a rogue, a ranged damager, and a melee damager in the party from the goblin faction will perform a support attack on the same target and will perform another 1 support attack if the target is a goblin. Has a 50% chance per dead rat she has to block an enemy from getting bonus initiative for 2 turns. So the ability works a little bit different versus non-goblin creatures, enemies versus goblin enemies. You'll get the extra round of support attack if it's a goblin, but you will lose the 25% damage to current HP. And if it's not, you gain 25% damage to max HP, but you lose the extra round of support attack. So we are going to go ahead and use this against Abaddon. Watch the ability in action. She blows a kiss, hits him, and the support attacks come out. Now, the issue with this ability, and I've already brought it to Playcott's attention, is that the confusion part of the ability is applied first, and then the confusion is taken straight off when the damage happens. They are aware of it. I don't know how long it's going to take them to fix it, what they're going to do with it. My suggestion was that the confusion gets applied last. That's the only way around it, or remove the confusion. I don't really think the confusion is needed in this ability. The ability does a lot already. I'd be happy with it if they removed it or they moved it to the last position, because the way it works now is the confusion part is void. It does absolutely nothing to this ability. Moving on to her passive Confusion All Round, has a 20% chance per live allied goblin to get a dead rat at the start of her turn, which can't be thrown out or removed, and every rat received reduces fortitude by 1% until the end of the turn. At the end of her turn, she throws a dead rat to the allied rogue, ranged damager, and melee damager from the goblins faction for each dead rat she has. Increases own fortitude by 50%, has a 30% chance per dead rat she has at the start of her turn to throw the same number of enemies into confusion as the number of allied goblins. So she works best, obviously, with a full goblin faction. We will cast an ability if everything works well. She actually doesn't have... There we go. She has a dead rat stack. Casting an ability should apply 1 dead rat to Sneaky Beaky. So we'll go ahead and do it. There we go. He gets a dead rat stack, so that works as intended. It's a pretty good passive. It does a lot. overall, she's a pretty good support unit. She can do a bit of damage with her third special as well. The Goblins are getting a lot of hate at the moment. I understand the main reason. People are kind of over just new characters coming into the game with no content. It's not going to stop me from making the videos, though, and showing off the characters. How are the Goblins standing so far, though? Personally, they're not horrible. I think they do have potential. Sneaky Beaky is, in my opinion, a better version of Cage. Sweetvoice has a lot. She's a really good support unit. Again, she is Goblin bound. I can't see people mix and matching her in cross teams. Maybe having one extra character on the team that's not Goblin potentially. But I've been wrong before. People have built teams with weird combinations. But at the moment, she looks like she is set for the Goblin faction only. And yeah, she does a pretty good job. It's all going to rely on the Goblin King, though, what he can perform. And a lot of hate's also coming from the names. Honestly, I like the names. I think it suits them. I'm happy that the Goblins don't look like your typical Goblins. They're purple. They're weird. They have funny names. I can't see the Goblin King being called Richard or Sally the sweetheart. It just, I don't know. I'm not going to waste my time complaining about Goblin names. It's wasting my night. I think they do have potential. There's still more to come out. We'll see how it goes. At the moment, they're okay, but they need the Goblins. They need 5 Goblins to be as strong as they can be. That's the only downfall about releasing factions that are faction bound and not being able to cross-match them. Unfortunately, they just don't have the shine they could potentially have. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll answer to the best of my ability. And wherever you are in the world, until next time, please take care of yourself.